So in 1975, a company introduced a 5-word tagline that changed a whole enterprise. The tagline is on the front of your bulletin. It is, "Don't leave home without it." Or a shorter way to say that is, remember. Don't leave home without it. Who remembers the company? American Express, yeah. That tells our age, those of us that have been watching that commercial for the past 20 years. I asked one of our church administrators, Heidi, I said, when you think of "don't leave home without it," what do you think of? She said, "My keys." I thought, okay, so you haven't seen the commercial. Don't leave home without it. But literally that tagline in marketing, it changed the whole face of an industry. Because when that commercial came out and this idea about don't leave home without it, all of a sudden there was this feeling that if you had this particular commodity, this thing, that you were prepared, you could be confident. And when you went out that day, you wouldn't miss out on an opportunity. And then in the event something unexpected happened, you would be secure. It became a successful campaign because those things are important to us. Don't leave home without it. But to follow along in that same idea, let's suppose you took advantage and you got that credit card. Well, there's something that you had to do, Tony, as well. The whole don't leave home without it, first of all, you had to accept the offer, right? And then if you got that card in the mail, you had to activate it, right? And then the third thing you had to do was put it to use. There's a spiritual teaching in that, people. Hello? This year our theme is Do Greater Things, which is based on what Jesus said in the Gospel of John when he made it very clear when he said, "Very truly, I tell you, the things that I do, you can do too, and even greater." Now, I hold that as the intention of my life. Anybody else? Yeah. Has anybody else quite reached it yet? No, and that's okay. We're still trying. So this is our theme this year, Do Greater Things. And in this, we know we're holding on to this promise, this truth that other master teachers have told as well. But the question for us becomes, how do I activate it in my life? How do I right here, right now, begin to live this truth? Well, I'm telling us, reminding us, we begin it right now and we don't leave home without it. And the litmus test is, am I confident and do I feel prepared? Am I confident that I'm not going to miss out on any opportunity? And am I absolutely secure and no matter what happens, all is well? That same litmus test, to the degree that you can say yes, yes, yes to those things, is a real indicator for how well are we accepting and taking this offer to be the truth of who we are. That you are a Christed being. The word Christ means anointed one. That it is the perfect pattern of our potential. That just like an acorn, that within a little teeny acorn resides the pattern for a mighty oak tree. Well, just within each and every one of us resides the pattern. It's not like a chocolate chip and a cookie. It's like our essence. It's like if I were to look at you and say, I can see good things in you. It's the essence. It is in us just as sure as anything is in you. And so our question is, how do we bring it about? Well, first of all, is to really remember that I just told you the scripture, but when Jesus was accused one time for healing someone, this again is in the Gospel of John, he said, "Do you not know, it is written in your own scriptures that ye are gods." That ye are gods, that children of God, children of the Creator, we are the likeness and the image of God. He constantly used parables. He used stories with individuals, and where he tried to help individuals understand, you can see yourself as a servant, as an outsider, or you can see yourself as a son or a daughter or an heir, one who is like and one who is with. His final prayer, one of his final prayers were, "Father, that they may be as one as we are one, that the glory which thou givest me, that they may recognize that it is from you and that this glory is for them also. That's what we're talking about today when I'm talking about remembering that we don't have to leave home without it. Don't leave home without it. To accept it, to activate it, and to put it to use. So I've got a few things. Jane, would you hand me this bag? My lovely partner is celebrating her mother's 80th anniversary today, so I don't have my reminder person here. The first thing, just as with the credit card, you're going to take advantage of it, is to accept it. How many of you get credit cards in the mail and you just throw them away or cut them up? Now, years ago, we got a whole lot of them. I remember one time years ago, I got a credit card with a limit of $100,000. And I thought, how in the world, I wish I'd have taken them up on it now. I don't think they give those anymore. The industry has changed. But so often in our day-to-day life, we forget that we need to first of all accept and be confident in the fact that you are ready right now. You are the image and likeness of God. Well, you know, with a credit card, you have to qualify for it, right? Well, I've got good news for you. Every one of you pre-qualified to be a child of all that is, just by your sheer incarnation. So you can check that one off the list. Turn to your neighbor and say, you are qualified. So I offer you this prayer as a reminder. It's called the KNOTS prayer, K-N-O-T-S prayer. Dear God, please untie the knots that are in my mind, my heart, and my life. Remove the have-nots, the can-nots, the do-nots that I have in my mind. Erase the will-nots, the may-nots, the might-nots that find a home in my heart. Release me from the could-nots, the would-nots, and the should-nots that obstruct my life. And most of all, dear God, I ask that you remove from my mind and my heart and my life all the am-nots that I have allowed to hold me back, especially the thought that I am not who you say I am. Isn't that beautiful? And it says, author known to God. That's all I know about who wrote that prayer. To accept it. Every day, I'm sure most of you look in one of these. Now, I hope it's not as ratty as this one. You know what ratty means? That's a southern term for it's in bad shape. In the Sufi tradition, there is a character called Nasruddin. He's known as the wise fool. And Nasruddin one day he looked like this burnout hippie, but he had a check for a lot of money. So he made his way uptown into the biggest, nicest bank he could find, and he went up to the teller and he handed that bank and he said, I want to cash this check. And they looked at that check and that large sum of money, and they looked at that man that looked like he hadn't taken a shower since Woodstock or shaved or anything else. And they thought, you've got to be kidding. So they said, sir, I need you to identify yourself. And he started feeling around and he said, well, I'm Nasruddin. This is my check. Well, sir, I need you to identify yourself. He said, just a minute. So he went over to the other teller line and he started talking to people, and the woman thought, what in the world is he doing? He went to a man and the man shook his head no, and then he went to a woman and she pulled through her purse and handed him something, and he came back and she said, sir, you're holding up the line. I need you to identify yourself. Yeah, this is me. All day long, the world is saying, I need you to identify yourself. And I hope you're saying, I didn't leave home without it. I remember who I am. Yep, this is me, child of God, right here, warts and all. This is me. A mirror. Would you allow a mirror to remind you, I can accept it. And as a matter of fact, if I don't, it won't ever happen. I have a free will. I have a conscious cooperator with all that is, with the God of my being. And I have to activate it. And part of activating it is to accept it. I allow every mirror to direct me to accepting the truth of who I am together. I allow every mirror to direct me to accepting the truth of who I